Welcome back for Chapter 11. I'm Lloyd Dobler, and this is my podcast, The Tao of Lloyd, where each chapter I try to take a Taoist teaching and duct tape it to the crumbling facade of U.S. politics in some last-ditch effort to say, let's maybe try something else, y'all. So, I've been watching this new Vince Gilligan show, Pluribus. That's an awkward transition, I understand, but stay with me. I'll bring it around. In the pilot episode titled We Is Us, humanity catches an alien virus that upgrades humanity into this collective hive mind, like enlightenment, but mandatory, like Burning Man, if Burning Man never ended and everyone was sober, but somehow way too happy. Anyway, here's the plot of the pilot episode, just the first episode. No real spoilers, don't worry, just the setup. So they're astronomers. We see some astronomers pointing their kind of fancy space listening gear stuff at a star system hundreds and hundreds of light years away. And boom, they pick up a radio signal that turns out to be an RNA sequence. It's not saying, hello, friendly neighbors. It's not hostile. It's just cosmic code. So naturally, the government hears alien RNA and they say, yeah, let's put that shit in some lab mice and study it. Jump cut, year and a half later, at the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, a place whose name is already a spoiler. And two workers in the lab are poking around the infected mice, and one of them gets bit. And before you can say, holy Wuhan lab storyline, Batman, we're off to the races. Within hours, the whole facility of humans is convulsing in unison. Scientists start acting like a wellness cult, and everyone is working together with the kind of cheerful efficiency you only see in like ant colonies or in disaster streaming TV shows on Apple TV made in the proto-fascist Trump era. Anyway, they immediately start spreading this virus using contaminated petri dishes, like a potluck where the dish you brought was weaponized enlightenment. Sort of. Maybe. Who knows? It's only the pilot, and we're not supposed to really get it yet. But I'm sitting there thinking, so this is what would happen if the Tao Te Ching got rewritten by the CDC. A public health version of non-duality, oneness as a communicable disease. Humanity finally agrees on something, but nobody gets to disagree anymore. So with that floating around in your imagination, let's get to the reading. Let's settle in. Close your eyes. Or don't. I mean, I'm not your spiritual advisor. Or am I? Consider closing your eyes. I mean, what have you got to lose? Unless you're dodging tear gas or fact-checking a dictator in real time or stage diving off the crumbling scaffolding of democracy, and go ahead, keep your eyes open. But for the rest of us, let's just go ahead and close our eyes to start the journey within. And breathe in through your nose and let it out like you're leaving fog rings on the monocle of a hedge fund billionaire bro. And this is the Tao Te Ching, Chapter 11. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. And that's Chapter 11 of the Tao Te Ching. A meditation on the whole, the hollow, the inner spaciousness that makes motion possible. Keep that image in your mind, because Pluribus, the TV show, shows us exactly what happens when society panics at the sight of empty space and fills it with the wrong thing. What this chapter is all about Emptiness, the useful nothing at the center of everything, the hub of the wheel, the hollow of the pot, the space in the home. The part that isn't there is the part that works. Taoism 101. And Pluribus, at least the first few episodes, I'm only up to episode 3, keeps circling a haunting question. And that is, what if the thing that we celebrate as our greatest strength, that is our independence, is actually the weakness that prevents collective survival? What if the thing we celebrate as our greatest strength, that thing we call independence, is actually the weakness that prevents collective survival? That's the idea that the self isn't a fortress, but it's a doorway. That is exactly the territory of emptiness and interdependence in Taoism and Buddhism. Because the Tao says we're already woven together. Interdependence isn't a failure, it isn't a virus, it's the operating system. The title of the show, Pluribus, even reminds us of the motto, we only pretend to understand. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. A promise that we tattooed onto our money without ever learning the choreo. Outside of the TV show, sitting on the couch, watching the TV show, the Trump 2.0 era has its own hive mind. It's not telepathic, it's not RNA based, but it's basically the same, or at least enough for us to make some metaphoric connections as we're sitting there watching it. There's an entire movement convulsing in unison, one storyline, one grievance, one shared persecution complex broadcast through millions of phones like an ideological Bluetooth. The president sneezes a conspiracy theory on Truth Social over his McMuffin breakfast, and half the country catches that fucking cold by dinner. RFK decides that dandelions cause autism, and suddenly Fox News is calling for the Pentagon to airlift troops into suburban lawns. But not you, my friend in the headphones. Here you are, listening to this podcast, still immune enough to think your own thoughts, still hollow enough to have an inner space the hive can't fill, still empty enough to be useful. So picture yourself as the empty center of the wheel of chapter 11. Not a spoke, not a surface, not a node in the network. You're the whole, the no thing, the gap, the space between breaths, the negative space that makes motion possible. You're the open window in a sealed simulation. You're the space between notes that makes the whole track swing. And it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Breathe. Good. And breathe in once more. And let it out. The true teacher, he knows there's nothing to teach. No cosmic syllabus, no pop quiz from God, which is why he can teach anybody. He's handing out enlightenment like free samples at the Whole Foods before it was sold to Amazon. The true lover, he knows that there's no separate other, so he's basically open to open source affection, available to anybody who needs a little human bandwidth. And the master knows that there's no place to plant a flag, no final stance, no hill to die on, which is exactly why he can stand anywhere, on chaos, on quiet, on broken systems, on bad days, on shifting sands and sinking ships, and somehow still look centered. Now, to be clear, I'm not presenting you as the teacher. I'm not presenting myself as the teacher or the master. That's inside you. That's inside you. Okay, if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open them. The hive mind is always saying we is us, and the Tao says, not without the whole, you're not. And somewhere in between those two sentences is the only kind of freedom worth fighting for. From the edge of the empire and the center of the self. This is the Tao of Lloyd.